Basketball in Focus, back again, James Ribshack for a Thursday night. Got several basketball players to talk to. It's close to the end of the year. The postseason play has already started. The playoffs are underway. Going to hit round 3 tomorrow night. And in Shane's tonight, we've got Briana Burgins with us. First of all, from Southwest Guilford. Briana's here and had a very good year with the Southwest Guilford Cowgirls. She's a senior, and some people may have thought coming in with a coaching change, might take a little time to rebuild this team, get to see, but only 2 losses on the season. This has been a very productive year for you, Briana, and the Cowgirls.
Yes, sir. We didn't know really what to expect coming in the season, like you said, with the coaching change. But Coach Scarborough, he was our JV coach his first year when we went to state championship my freshman year. So us seniors know him pretty well, and a lot of the underclassmen got to play for him. So it wasn't really a big, complete change for us.
You look at a change sometimes. When you lose a lot of players, you expect to see some changes. But when you lose a coach, sometimes that's considered major change. And it looks like it's been a very smooth transition. And Coach Scarborough's done a good job working with this team and hasn't probably changed too much and kept things in a good perspective. Only 2 losses. Who are those 2 losses to?
Southern Alamance, we lost to them in overtime by 3, and we lost to T.W. Andrews by 4.
And you later, did you beat Andrews when you played them again? Did you play them twice?
We played them again at the High Point University, and we beat them, and then we played them again for the Winter Christmas tournament, and we beat them there too.
That's
for the championship.
Not bad. You've won that championship now a couple of times through the Sheets, right?
Yeah, I've won it 3 times.
Not too shabby. And had the state championship win back about 3 years ago when you were a freshman. You're part of that title team, and you told us quite a bit of playing time as a freshman on that team.
Yeah, I didn't get as much at the beginning of the season, but once we started hitting conference play, I got my chance to shine a little bit. And coming in with a team full of people who have been really big key to the Southwest career, Zayna Lovett, Shannon Buchanan. Just being on the court with some of those girls is a big honor, and it's also helped me a lot now with
experience. A lot of experience gained over those past couple of years. I guess you've come close to being a starter almost every year. Plus, you got the 1,000 point a couple of weeks back, too. That was a big honor for you as well.
Yeah, I was kind of excited. That's one of my goals coming into high school, along with a couple other stuff, so yeah.
And one of your other goals, if I'm not mistaken, you got the championship your freshman year, and you want to also try to get that title your senior, coming in and going out.
Yeah, that would be really good to have one coming in and one going out.
You look at the first game coming into the tournament. You played Reagan in round 1. I think you won that game 50-45, 5-point win. The last night you picked. Who did you beat last night? I know you beat them by about 20.
T.C. Robertson from Asheville. It was a big game, biggest game thus far. Like tomorrow's going to be the biggest game because it's win or go home now, and you got to leave everything you have on the court. Play great both offensively and defensively. Box out, rebound. Every little thing matters now because everybody is 2-0 at this point, and so you doing the little things really does help get you to the next round.
And you mentioned in the game last night, which will be Wednesday, the defense was a lot better than it was in the opening round game. The defense seemed like it began to click in that Wednesday night game, that win you got last night.
Yes, sir. The win against Reagan on Monday, we played defense in spurts, and we weren't really hitting that many shots. So last night for us to get a bunch of defensive stops and make T.C. Robertson turn the ball over really did help with our offense because it does on our team. It starts with the defense. So for us to be able to get a bunch of stops and hold them to 1 and 2 opportunity points, it was a really big thing for us.
And a big thing, too, we talk about the wins you've had this week. Picked up the win on Monday, win on Wednesday. I don't think any wins are probably any bigger than the wins you got this season against that Northwest Guilford team. They tested you pretty well. I think that was about a week ago last Friday. A week ago tomorrow, you were in the conference tournament championship. Pretty good battles against Northwest, not only in that game, but in some other games this year. Vikings and Cowgirls getting together makes for some good games.
Yes, sir. First of all, Northwest is a big conference rival for us, and they're a great team. They're very fundamentally sound. They can shoot, and they run through their offense pretty well. So for us to be able to come in and be able to beat teams like that, especially close games, really does prepare you for the playoffs where you have most of your close games anyway. And again, they're a really good team, and for us to come in and win was some big wins for us this season.
And you play primarily in the post, right?
Yeah, I play post and guard.
Okay, you play a little bit on the wing also as well then. But you're in the post against Morgan Pointer and against Hunter Newman, two pretty good players for Northwest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They're strong, and they rebound well, and they make good, strong moves to the basket. So for us to hold them to not a lot of opportunities around the rim where they want to have them was really big too.
Big season for Southwest, only 2 losses on the year. Did you expect this kind of year coming in? I know you hoped for this kind of year, but have you exceeded some of your expectations? I know you wanted to be right where you are current time going to the game tomorrow night. You'd be playing for the sectional championship, but did this surprise you in any way?
I wouldn't necessarily use surprised. We didn't know what to expect, so you can't really say you're surprised at how the season's gone. I mean, a lot of us play AU together, and the 4 seniors have been playing together since we've been in 7th grade, so we all know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and so for us to be able to come together easy and everything to start click at the right moment again in the playoffs is pretty exciting for us to see what is to happen, especially coming out with the big game versus Audrey Kell tomorrow.
Briana Burgins with us, Southwest Guilford Cowgirls. And how about that AAU team? Who's the AAU team you play for, and who's the AAU coach? Because I know that's a big part of these school programs now, because the girls need to be playing year-round. And I know those Northwest Guilford girls play for, I think, a Gators AAU club, quite a few of those sophomores on the Northwest team. How about your AAU team?
We play for Phoenix Express, and our head coach is Kenny Carter.
Oh, no, not Kenny Carter. I said High Point Central top coach.
Yes, the High Point Central top coach. Yes. He pushes us on the court and makes sure that we're both fundamentally sound, and he really is a great coach. He mentally prepares us and physically prepares us for things, and he always wants us to play against the best. So for us to be with him is also a great aspect to helping us develop our game, which does help in the high school career.
I bet the communication lines will probably continue between you and Coach Carter. I know it'll between you and Coach Scarborough. When you go into college, you'll keep up with these coaches, and they'll stay in touch with you, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. Coaching Coach Carter and Coach Scarborough, I mean, it starts off as a coaching, but as you go through seasons with them, it starts to become a friendship and sort of a family type thing. And so, yeah, when I go off to college, I'll definitely check in back with them.
What about these seniors on the Southwest Guilford girls team? You mentioned several, and you've got Kennedy Porter, you've got also Duncan Hackney, you've got Janaea Rogers. Those are fellow seniors for you, and this is just about as important to them this year, this last final run, for them as it is to you.
Yes, sir. At the beginning of the season, we had a meeting, and we all discussed with our coaches what were our goals for this season, and state championship was one of the ones that we said we wanted to. We've all been there. We've all got to experience it, and winning winter tournaments and conference tournaments throughout the years was big, but we all have a common goal, and that is to get to states again and to win.
How do you keep getting better, and how do you stay humble? You've had so much success along the way. Anytime you get 20-plus wins, that's a great year no matter what. You want to win the title, no doubt about that. But how do you stay humble, and how do you keep improving and stay getting better?
We stay grounded, as in every game we come in thinking that any team on any given day can beat you. Obviously, great teams also lose. I mean, take Syracuse and Boston College, and it's teams you wouldn't expect to beat bigger teams bring their A game, and when you do have 20-plus wins and have as successful seasons as we seniors have, the target is on your back, and every night, day in and day out, people are coming in with their best game trying to beat you, and so you have to match that level of intensity, if not surpass it, to overcome some of the obstacles you have.
And you've got to represent that Piedmont Triad Conference now, so you're the lone rep, men or women, left from the Piedmont Triad Conference.
Yes, sir. I guess a lot of people would think that's a lot of pressure, but if you stay grounded, know what you're supposed to do, and focus on what has been successful for you thus far, you shouldn't have have to worry about it.
You know, one thing you bring up a good point about any night, anything can happen. I was there the night you played. Southwest Guilford was playing Eastern Guilford. It was early January, right after the Christmas holiday, probably about a week after you finished up that She's tournament. But you were playing Eastern Guilford that night, and that game was so tight. It went right down to the wire. I think LaShonda Monk got a last-second shot and went in for your team. But boy, Eastern Guilford, early on, you were pretty much taking control of them and kind of in charge in the game, and they kind of made a run or two and got ahead of you and gave you just a stiff challenge. Very fortunate to win that game. That's just a prime example. On a given night, anybody can come in and steal one from you.
Yes, sir. Basketball is a game of spurts, and so when you're not hitting or if you're not playing good defense, the other team is making a run for you. And so again, like Eastern Guilford did, any team can come in and beat you. And when you have had a success, every team is coming in with their best game every night. So you have to be mentally prepared, mentally tough, and physically tough to be able to overcome some of the things that the teams run at you.
What do you expect out of this Ardrey Kell team coming in tomorrow night? It's good too. You've been doing so well this season. I think you're ranked about 4th or 5th in the state now with that fine record, about 23, 24 wins, only 2 losses. But what about Ardrey Kell when they come to the ranch tomorrow night?
Ardrey Kell, as we've heard or we've been researching about, they're pretty big, pretty long. They play great defense, fundamentally sound. They have some strong players. A bunch of their players are great rebounders. So us with defense and rebounding is going to be the key for us to win tomorrow. Also, of course, knocking down shots, but strong, keeping them to holding them to 1 and 2 time opportunities on the glass is really going to help tomorrow.
You think about this, your team, and you think about you're in the post. Who's the big post player? Do you have a big post player on your team? A big post presence? I don't think you do, but if you do, who is that big post player?
Our big post player really now is Janae. Janae is the key post that we have, and the only person on the team who's been playing post all 4 years. I started off as a guard most of my season until this season, where I'm having to play in a more difficult position. I guess it's going to be really big for her to get a lot of rebounds tomorrow. I mean, obviously we're all going to help, crashing the boards hard and stuff. But yeah, tomorrow she's our big post player, and she's hit big shots when we need her to, made big plays defensively and offensively when we needed her to.
It's kind of fun to watch your box scores too, because checking your box scores on a given night, you don't know who's going to be the team leader in the scoring. I think maybe you had 8 last night, someone else in double digits, and it kind of flips around from game to game who's the top scorer is and who's maybe the secondary scorer.
I think that's really good for us because teams usually try to pinpoint one certain player, and if you have a team full of people who can all score in any given night, I mean, all of us can have a great night, all of us could have a bad night, 2 could have a great night, 1 could have a great night another night. For that, it's hard to pick a poison, and that means anybody on our team can really hurt you, and I guess teams aren't mentally prepared for having more than one great player.
You're a good spokesman for the team, because man, I like the way you put your words and phrases together. Either you did some study before you even came here, you prepare well for everything. How about this LaShonda Monk? Now, Monk's one of my favorite players. I saw her play in the middle school 8th grade all-star game last year, so saw Monk and saw what she could do. How tough is she as a player? It looks like she's playing even beyond her years as a freshman.
Yeah, Shonda has basketball IQ of someone greater than her years. For a freshman, she doesn't play like a freshman. She plays just as hard as us seniors do. She really wants to be a strong force in high school. She's a great guard. She makes big plays for us. Again, like that Eastern Guilford game, she made a big play at the end, and she's helped us actually pull a couple wins out this season. She plays great defense. She's really going to be one of the keys for Southwest when we all leave.
She just seems like she is very athletic. I know she comes from an athletic family. It just seems like her presence on the court, it's like she stepped off the street and was ready to go.
Yes, sir. She's a really great athlete on and off the court. She plays for our AU team, our younger team, and so we knew Shonda was coming in, and so that also helps because we know that some of her strengths and weaknesses, and she tied in, jumped in right onto the ship and did great with us.
Now, you talked about Janae in the post and LaShonda at the point guard, and also talk about your other teammates at Starlight. You mentioned also Duncan Hackney.
Duncan is the calming force for us. When we're all rattled or something, she helps gets everybody back to their mentally focused place. She also helps run the plays, and she's the coach that's on the court for us. She runs it, and we do whatever she says for us to do.
That's a good one to have too, because sometimes maybe her numbers may not show up in the box scores quite as strong as some other players, but she's doing other things and kind of doing the leadership role for you on the court.
Again, every person on the court is very important. Every person on the team is important. Not everyone has to be a scorer or someone who's a key rebounder or something. Sometimes that calming factor helps, because when you get in tight situations like you usually see throughout the playoffs, it's getting closer and closer and down to the wire. We need a calming force, to help make sure that everybody stays poised and composed and have that mental toughness, and Duncan is that person for us.
What's the huddle talk like? I mean, the way we're talking right now, do you guys also carry together inside the huddle where it doesn't get out of hand, doesn't get crazy? Pretty good communication levels there too?
That's the great thing about us. We're friends on and off the court. We hang out off the court just as much as we do on the court. So talking to one another, and again, having played with some of these people for 5, maybe 6 years. You grew up with these people. They're like your sisters, so you can just talk to them. You know what buttons.
You're not going to come off the court after a bad play and somebody's going to be somebody's throat. It's going to be very level-headed.
We all know which buttons not to press for each other. So that, and plus when you're going farther and farther in the playoffs, you have to stay composed. And as a team, I feel like we do that really well.
Who are the team captains?
Me, Duncan, Hackney, and Kennedy Porter.
Talk about Kennedy Porter a little bit. You mentioned to me earlier, it's Kendra Porter's sister. Kendra played for W a few years back, had a lot of success there. What about Kennedy?
Kennedy's a great player. She's also an offensive threat for us. She plays great defense. She rebounds. She does it all just like everybody else. She's also one of those calming mental factors for us. She's been a great vocal leader this season as long as previous seasons, and when we first got in, she didn't get to play as much, but she's come in and stepped up in big roles and taken big leadership roles for us on and off the court. And also, she's very aggressive offensively and defensively. So yeah, she's a big key to part of our success this season too.
Let's talk a little bit about Coach Scarborough. Talk about his demeanor. I met him after that Eastern Guilford game. Seems to be a pretty calm influence as well from his standpoint. And he is I think he's the school SRO.
He is the school SRO officer.
So he's able to keep control of the team. He's going to have that team under his wrap, but also he's kind of a smart leader as well. Probably not going overboard, but just kind of leading with good direction.
Yeah, he's a great coach. He makes sure that everybody's in the position to be successful. He has been, us seniors and some of our underclassmen on the team, knowing and being able to play for him and have known and grown to know him throughout the years really has been one of the keys. Instead of, with Coach B leaving, having someone that's a familiar face who's coaching you does help a lot.
What is it like? Here's a good one for you. We can draw the line here. What's it kind of like now? You've got a male leadership role as a male head coach. Before you had Coach B, you mentioned Coach Brian. Jessica Bryan was a female head coach. Is there much difference in that from your perspective as a young lady, or is it about the same?
It's not completely different. Coach B pushed us hard and made sure that we did what we were supposed to, and Scarborough is just the same way. He's more laid back a little bit than Coach B is, but when it comes game time, he's ready to win just as much as we are, and so that kind of really helps into our competitive side as far as a team effort goes.
You've got some pretty good assistant coaches over there too, I know.
Yes, Coach Lance Williard is a great assistant coach. He helps with making sure that we make sure to tweak all the stuff, make sure that everything's right, because again, all the little things do help.
Does the team ever hear from Coach Brian? Does she keep in contact and try to keep little tabs on how the girls are doing?
She does try to keep in contact occasionally. Actually, she's having a wedding here soon, so.
Wow, so she's made a lot of life changes.
Yes, she's had a lot of life changes. She's had a baby, and she's coming. She's coming back next month to have her wedding eventually.
Wow,
so
interesting.
yeah.
Now, where does she live? living at now? I heard she moved to the Midwest.
She moved to Illinois.
Gosh, interesting move by Coach Briana. She was an outstanding coach. I mean, she kind of came in as a young coach too and grabbed that team. And you guys had the success when you won the title back about 3 or 4 years ago. Who was it you beat again in that championship? I know it was a team out of the Raleigh area.
Raleigh Millbrook.
Yeah, and they had some big girls on that team. If I'm not mistaken.
They've had some great players. They've had 2 that went to Syracuse and a couple that went to Wingate and some other big stars too.
So where do you think Briana Burgins is going to go to school? You made that decision already?
I have not made that decision yet. I'm still trying to figure out where I want to go to school, who's got a great competitive athletic school, but a great academic part of the school as well. I want to be a pharmacist, so I'm trying to find that perfect balance of pre-pharmacy and athletics.
Wow, I know there's a lot of good pharmacy schools probably around, even sometimes the smaller schools. I think Wingate or one of the smaller schools may have pharmacy there as well. So I guess if you can find the right size school where you can get in, go in and be able to play and feel like you can contribute on the basketball team, that would fit your mold perfectly.
Yes, sir. I have applied to Wingate and Campbell and UNC Chapel Hill.
I know UNC Chapel Hill's got a great pharmacy school there
number
too.
2 pharmacy school in the country, so really trying to make sure that I have that perfect balance and a college that fits right for me.
Tell you one thing, things have fit pretty good for you at Southwest Guilford in the past couple of years. Any idea how many wins you've got as a team over the past 3 or 4 years? It's got to be close to 100, I would think.
Well, we went 30-2 my freshman year. We went 25-5 my sophomore year.
So you fought up that championship year with a 25-5. I remember, that was Zana's senior year, right?
That was Zana's senior year.
She was a junior the year you guys won it then.
We went.
Because you went to the regionals at the Coliseum her senior year. I remember seeing those games.
We went and played. We lost to Westover side, and last year we went 19-8. So, and now we're 24-2. So we're close to 100. I know we are.
Yeah, you played Westover site that year. You got knocked off at the Coliseum in regionals. That's a tough team. That's a tough out because they've got the Jones sisters right now. I think it's Jessica and Jasmine Jones, the 2 twins.
Both of them are going to Auburn, and they're a strong team. They're very competitive.
Here's a challenge for you. What if you played New Hope Christian Academy out of Thomasville? How would that game be? You've heard of those girls, I'm sure.
It would be funny because we play AAU with all of them too. So it would be a really big kind of alumni friend kind of game. But of course you haven't
gone up against Akila Mays, have you?
We did play her when she was at Dudley last year.
That's right. Yeah.
First game of the season. But yeah, if we ever play New Hope Christian, it would be a very competitive game because we're all friends and we're all very competitive, and both teams have great athletes, extraordinary coaches. So yes.
Bring out the best in your squad, especially when up against a team like that for sure. A lot of good women's talent around. You look at we mentioned New Hope, also Bishop McGinnis. Their young ladies they've won about 8 straight state championships too.
We actually played Bishop this season, and we've played them the last 3 seasons. They're a very talented team.
Beat them this year too.
We beat them this year, and Coach Brian Robinson has a great team, fundamentally sound, defensively and offensively, crash the boards. They have a strong team. They should do well too.
The Peters sisters are on there. The tough combo right there. And Julia Brown, I've seen her name in the papers.
Julia Brown, I've played with her before. She's a great athlete. She plays hard, and she's a strong presence on the court and a big leader for her team.
Here's a good one for you. How did you discover basketball? When did you get into basketball? Because you've had a lot of success. Did you start earlier? When did this all come together for you?
I started early. My dad was a football and basketball player. He played football at North Carolina A&T, and my mom played basketball, softball, and volleyball. But she played volleyball and softball at A&T as well. And so I kind of got introduced to basketball when I was 4 and played rec league. I didn't start AAU until I was in 6th grade, and then 7th grade tried out for the team, and the rest is history.
Wow, some good history too. So your parents had a very sound basketball background.
My family's strong, big, athletic type family. A lot of us, almost all of us, play a sport. So for me to play, it would just only be right.
So if we put the Langley family here and the Burgins family here, and put those two, that'd be a huge athletic gathering there because all the Langleys you have in Southwest Guilford on a men's team.
2 Langleys and then 2 Langleys in the middle school that will be coming up in 2 years. So 4 Langleys will have have passed.
I'm hearing the two Langleys in the middle school are really going to be something to see.
I've only seen them play once, and they are the truth. They work really hard, offensively, defensively, and I know their brothers, KJ and Cameron, who are in the high school, they work hard, and they're really good players too.
I think Cameron's only a freshman, isn't he?
Cameron's a freshman, and KJ is a junior.
KJ just, he's like a lot of those point guards, has to do the dirty work, got to take care of business.
I mean, that's what it takes sometimes. One person to do all the dirty work, help. Any little thing happens and helps the team. You need to do it.
What makes Southwest Guilford such a good school, such a good fit for you? You've had 4 good years there.
Southwest is really a perfect balance. It's kind of what I'm looking for in college. They have great academics, great athletics. I mean, all the athletes, they support each other. It's great crowd and cheerful parents, you know.
You like
everybody.
That student section. They've got a good student section.
Student section is I would argue it to be one of the best in Guilford County.
I love the battle between, like a battle between, well, here almost 3 schools in your conference could battle student section. You put the Northwest student section here, Southwest Guilford student section here, plus break. Remember the night you played Ragsdale in the girls' game?
Ragsdale crew was huge.
Yeah, it was.
But despite the fact that Northwest and Ragsdale have a big student section, I would still say Southwest is better.
You guys are very good with the color combos, that's for sure.
Definitely. The themes from neon to cowboy to America to blackout. Anytime you got the cowboy crazes in it, it makes it 10 times better.
A lot of good things from Southwest Guilford. Those Briana Burgins. And before we begin to close it down, how about the key reserves on this team? I know you've got to have at least 3 players coming off that bench, at least 3 or 4 key reserves. And
yes.
These might be the players of the future.
Yes, our underclassmen take a big role. Zanaya Mark, she's a junior. She comes off the bench as a guard, and she plays great minutes for us for defense, gets a lot of defensive steals and great opportunities for us. You got Brittany Purcell, who is also a junior, comes off, gets big offensive shots when need them. Taya Medley at post, who's a freshman. She gets boards and plays good defense and knocks down some big shots. She's hit some key shots for us throughout the season. Like when we played Southeast at the beginning, she hit some big shots in the end of the game for us.
And you beat some good teams, like you say. You beat Southeast. You did drop the 1 game to Southern Alamance in overtime, and they're still in the same round you're in. They're in the 3rd round in the state tournament.
Yeah, we've had some big games.
How did you like that matchup with Shaylin Burnett? Did you get to battle Shaylin?
We play Shayla a lot in AAU season, and so we know her strengths and her weaknesses just as well. She's a great athletic player. She's an awesome player. She's very smart with the ball, can kill you from the post and kill you from the outside. So she can handle the ball as well and plays good defense. I wouldn't mind getting to see her again throughout the season to try to make up for that game.
Nice.
Played some big games against Southeast. We've played Page with Paris Key.
You beat Page. I remember that because, man, there was a stretch there. You were one of the few teams that beat Page, and they kind of went on a losing streak after you beat them. You knocked off Page, and Paris, I guess, was 100% that, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, she's Vanderbilt commit. She's a great player, outstanding, very smart, handles the ball, can shoot, great with passing the ball and seeing the court. She's a big key to their success at Page, and for us to be able to come in and beat them was a real big confidence booster for our team.
And kind of a sad day for them where they're sitting today while we sit here at Shane's talking basketball, carrying on. They've turned things in because they lost by 1 last night in overtime, Paige.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Tough loss for them, yeah.
Sorry.
Alexander Central knocked them off by a point in OT. So, like we say, you're the only team pretty much around Guilford County, still pretty much other than High Point Andrews, but you and Andrews are the ones carrying the banner right now for the county. Got to keep it going.
Yeah, I hope that Andrews does well in the 2A conference. They're a strong team. They play great defense and offensively.
How about Imani Watkins? Like Imani? Got a pretty good game?
She's got a pretty good game. Great with the ball, commit to Binghamton and New York.
That's right.
And I wish her all well. I wish everybody on that team well, and I hope they do really well and represent Guilford County great.
We still got Northern Guilford in there too. They're facing Chapel Hill tomorrow night down in Chapel Hill. And I keep harping on this. I wish I could shut my mouth and quit talking about this. The fact that the team they're playing Chapel Hill beat their first round opponent 77 to 17, beat them by 60 points, and beat their second round opponent 59 to 13. So wow, what a challenge going to take on Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill, I hope Northern does do good, and hopefully hopefully they'll keep it going. But it is possible. The team we played last night, TC Roberson, beat whatever team they played. They had 77 points, and last night we held them to 29. So it is possible.
It can change overnight.
It can change in playoffs. Any given night can be an off night, and everybody has to bring their A game and bring all their big guns.
We had Leah Greenwich in to cheer you in last week. She was here for Northern Guilford. Very good ball player for them. A lot of talent around the county, and I think you're one of the main players. Briana Burgins with us from Southwest Guilford, the Cowgirls. Let's wish you luck in the game tomorrow night, and thank you for taking the time to come be with us.
Thank
I
you.
just enjoyed talking to you on the phone last night. You called and kind of identified yourself, got to know you a little bit over the phone before tonight's meeting, and I was still pumped up after that Paige Dudley boys game. It was just such a wild game last night over at Dudley, but wish you the best that game tomorrow night. And again, Audrey Kell, what's the tip-off time?
It is 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. I think you started last night at 6:30, right?
We start at 6:30, and it confuses me sometimes because sometimes it's 7 because we played at 7 on Monday, and then we play at 6:30. So we'll be ready by 6:30. Hopefully,
You'll
it's
be there
still
early.
6:30. Yeah,
Coach
definitely be early.
Coach will have you there by probably about 5 o'clock, I imagine.
Shoot around is at 5 o'clock, stretching and ready and dressed.
Let's keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Best of luck in the future. Briana Burgins with us, and she is from Southwest Guilford. Nick Powell's up next. He is from Northwest Guilford. Be sure to get your food too before you leave. Gotta be